Give me rice, you bastard. A poem by Rafiq Azad, translated by our very own Zoheb. I am so hungry. From belly out my whole body is devoured by a hunger, like fields of wheat burning in drought. Hunger cooks and consumes my flesh. 2 handfuls, twice a day, that's all I ask. So many ask for so much more. Everyone wants houses, cars, money, fame. The one thing I want burns inside me, drying my insides into a desert. I want rice, and I want it now, cold or warm, narrow or lovely and plump. Even red aid ration rice, I just want a bowl of rice. If I can get 2 fistfuls, twice a day, I'll want nothing else. I don't want fancy things. I don't want what men want. Don't give me a beautiful woman clad in nothing. Let whoever wants her have her. Give her to who wants her. You know what I need. I won't accept anything else. If you can't meet this single, simple demand, I'll do terrible things. Too starved for your morality or laws without a thought, I'll eat whatever's before me. I'll leave nothing behind. My mouth will swallow it all with rice. If you're in my way, you'll only sharpen this monstrous hunger. The hunger for simple rice becoming all-consuming can only end in horror. Breaking through the page and eating the reader, I'll devour in the following order: trees, rivers, villages, roads and the dirty water flowing through the sewers, passers-by, the curves of voluptuous women, the Minister for Agriculture and his car and the flag on the bonnet. My hunger will toss nothing aside today. Give me rice, you bastard, or I'll eat the map.
Uduasha City, where the sun is a mirror and the moon a shadow, where dancers cavort in forbidden operas, making love to forgetting and flame, where the wealthy play at war with silver swords and silken sashes, where the people mine the dead heart of a burning star for cannonballs and pipework, and where 1,000 secrets hide in a forest of paper and ink. Here, the 5 keybearers reside, the 5 who know the secrets of the broken gates of death. 5 only. There is no 6th spire, forlorn and forgotten in the desert. There is no one who looks to the displaced, the poor and destitute and landless, whose ancestry has been stripped from them by foreign looms and foreign sparkcraft, and no one has ever heard of the House of Ending. But this is their story. Their roots pulled up and burned, they stand in filth up to their necks. And that is precisely why they must keep their heads ever high. Welcome to Uduasha, immigrant. May it fear the name of the house you will build. Welcome to Desperate Attune, an actual play podcast about characters with their identities in peril, played by an international cast devoted to fiction-first gaming, collaborative world-building, and complex character drama. Welcome back to Desperate Attune, everyone. We are a group of people. We are, in fact, I'm Prince. I am your host. And with me is also Klow, playing Bidruhi.
Hello.
Yes, hello, Klow. Thank you for that. I don't know, that wasn't Bidruhi's voice, but Klow can do a lot of voices.
It's one of my voices, that's the important thing.
Yes. With me is also Salty. Hello, Salty.
Hello, thank you for affirming my personhood.
Yes, as Clem. I'm also affirming your character. Clem or Golden-Eyed Clementine.
I'm so affirmed right now.
Yes. We also have Aadiyat.
Hello.
As Mushfiq. Or Sherekatam. The
Yeah.
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 And-
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah,
I wasn't sure how to describe Sherikatan because he contains multitudes, but he has two names. This is important. And we also have three as Saida.
Cover your heads and mock not flesh and blood with solemn reverence.
Yes. And this is us. This is the crew. We have had a crew that has just recently reached Tier 2 in Blades in the Dark, and so have gotten a brand new lair, brand new things, new opportunities, new friends, and etc. And if you want to support us getting new things for the podcast, we have a Patreon. And we also have a Ko-fi, so we accept donations this way too. Thank you very much, both for listening and for supporting us.
Please do it.
Please do it. So, having increased our tier and having progressed our goals and some time having passed in character, it's time to get back into the action, I think. So we have a couple of things going on around the city as time has passed. Last time we zoomed in on our crew's personal lives, how they acquired a new lair from House Anserek under more or less, under more pressure than less. Under pressure, let's say. The lair was remodeled. We have had, Bidri has helped get his friends out of prison, and some things have changed around the city. One of which is, let me set the scene. There are a few things going on around our fair city of Uduasha, located in a caldera in the middle of a desert, ruled over by the 5 demon princes, and connected to the outside world by means of railroad and by means of a river. A river whose water levels have begun to run very low, and who, as the main link east to Kethris, the breadbasket of Iruvia, as a result, food imports have begun to struggle. The railroad is not yet well in use among the modernized Kethrisi farms. Perhaps people are working on that. But shipments that come in by barge are getting increasingly held up by the poor state of the river and by, not only the low water level, but the neglect that the locks and such have suffered under. So, there have begun to be trouble with food imports, and as a consequence, prices have begun to rise across the city for basic staples. Kethris is the main supplier of rice in all of Iruvia, and also bananas, 2 quite common stocks. And so one of the things that has happened recently is this increase in food prices and trouble along the rivers. This has affected, of course, our immigrant district of the hospitality ghetto the worst, because these are always the people who feel rising food prices first. But conversely, of course, it has impacted the people of Gilly Gully quite positively. The farming families that do exist in Uduasha, which is less bountiful than Kethris, do produce an output, and so more money and more power have been going to the old farming families there, which have long been overlooked by the political forces of Uduasha. And so, we will return. This has, as mentioned, been happening in the background, but we will return with an inciting incident, so to speak, to take us back into the action. And that inciting incident comes in the form of a vulture named Omid. A vulture you now have on your side, an opportunist, a mercenary, and a man who has many times killed his own people, the Kethrisi. But Omid was recently hired by your crew to keep the people of Kethris safe, and he comes to Mushfiq to report about recent incidents. Where does he find Mushfiq?
Well, maybe somewhere outside of the crew lair, somewhere more interesting. Where could Mushfiq be? I don't know. Maybe Mushfiq is down by... Maybe he's down by the river, mulling things over.
Maybe you're watching the lack of food imports,
Yes.
Because that's where all the food comes in through the river, right?
Yeah.
Maybe there's trouble at the docks.
Yeah, he's watching the docks and nothing there, and going, yep, still nothing there.
The lock porters, who are the gang of stevedores who handle most of the logistics in the docks, are unusually unemployed, and they have a friendship now with Biskut Bachchan, the baker. And so for the moment, Biskut is basically taking paying out of his own money, I think, to keep the Ketrisi people fed. And the lock porters are just kind of sitting here, and he comes in to check with them. If there have been any shipments today, the answer is usually no. Sometimes the answer is yes. But yeah, something needs to be done about... I think the primary problem is the lock. They're so old that getting stuff through now has become both expensive and difficult with the low water levels. It was fine so long as the water levels were high. But now, yeah, where there's more work required, both on the river and in the locks, transports have become both more dangerous and more difficult. And so here is where Omid finds you, stepping forth quietly behind you, and for a moment there is this tension between you as he almost sneaks up on you, and this is a man who's attempted to kill you before, right? So there is this moment of tension, but he is unarmed. So I think you see his reflection in the water or something, and it's for a moment it's sinister until you realize that his hands are empty. He simply says, "Any news? Any shipments?"
Yeah, and Mushbreak, I think he did tense up a little bit. He just slightly exhales and he goes, "No, still nothing." And it looks like it's gonna be nothing for a while. Yeah, the Mushbreak gets, I guess he was just sitting over, like with his feet dangling over what is now a dryish riverbed, and he gets up and just shrugs it over and goes, "And you?"
Well, I've done my rounds. We've got no incidents other than the usual petty vandalism, attempts at threats. Nothing my people can't handle, but well, there was a detail I thought I should discuss with you. It's a little bit sensitive, probably best discussed in private. Remember, you've been asking to keep feelers out for a mutual acquaintance of ours, he says, and he refers, of course, to your Ustad.
And I think, that does make Mushfik more alert, and he goes, "Yeah, and where'd they go?"
Like I said, it's better discussed in private. Come. And I think since you're on good terms with the people working here, possibly it doesn't have to take you that far. Possibly it's one of the lock porter, like one of the stevedores. Let's say it's like a storage room, like a tool shed, basically, where they keep all their hooks and ropes and things. But just to make sure that the lock porters themselves aren't listening in. So in this room full of ropes and hooks and things hanging from the ceiling, he looks at you quite seriously and he says, "I came on this by chance, but one of my boys, Haroon, he has a fling down in Gilly Gully. Goes there sometime to see some young farmer lad. I didn't know too much about the relationship, but said farmer lad, he's reciting politics suddenly, talking about having read some tracts. Haroon gave me one of them, and he takes out like a piece, like a little pamphlet or a tract, and shows it to you. And it's one of those things that's circulated in secret. It's printed somewhere by someone who has a printer, and it's the fire speakers, the people who have your Ustad, at least last time you knew about it. It's a small pamphlet talking about, well, their ideology, and they are Uduashan supremacists, right? And so in this time of food crisis and whatnot, it is a pretty inflammatory tract, basically saying that the Uduashan farm families should, out of a sense of patriotic duty, prioritize feeding the Uduashans, and that these Akorosi trade contracts that are going about, by which the empire and the demon houses are trying to buy up food and distribute it, is, well, they don't approve of it.
And
it's an Uduasha for the Uduashans kind of pamphlet.
And does this pamphlet say anything about the Severosi or the Ketrisi refugees who are decidedly not Uduashan?
I mean, it doesn't address them directly, but it is framed in the sense that, now they are simply burdening our fair city, and why we send money to Ketris to import Ketrisi food to feed the Ketrisi. Why are we doing this? Why is this how we spend our tax money?
That's not where the food goes.
Yeah, well, The
It's
food
Is
from
anything
sure.
in there about
Gilly certainly is.
Scotlanders?
Uh-huh. Yeah, the food from Gilly certainly isn't going very much to the hospitality ghetto, and
fair enough.
yeah, there's politics afoot here, right? It's clear to you from context of this pamphlet that the fire speakers are trying to ingratiate themselves with the farming families of Gilly, and that in fact they have probably already done so. And Omid adds to this as he says, "Now, the farm boy, he didn't just get this tract handed to him by a stranger. It's circulated, near as I found out from Harun, at least. There are converts in his family. The elders of the family seem to think this is a good idea. It's not. I did some digging, of course. I have the name of the family, and they seem to be in with these firebrands pretty deep. It's the bitter gourd bakshis."
I'm so sorry. Did you just say the bitter gourd? Okay.
Bakshis.
Bakshi.
Yes.
I mean, I want to be
I heard
clear
it
that,
too.
that
I heard it too, Tree, and I didn't like it.
Why?
I don't know.
Have I come up with a very stupid name again?
no, it's just that like
There's something about it.
there's just something about it. Yeah, no,
Please-
you've hit the nail on the head in some ways.
Yes.
Please continue.
Yeah,
Very
let me
good.
not dissuade you from the psychic damage that you're insistent upon doing.
Very good. Very good. Yes, they grow bitter gourds, hence the name.
Hmm.
The
Um,
word for bitter gourd in Telugu is kakarkai, and there is just something about kakarkai bakshi which kills me.
Good. Good. I'm glad
So-
I'm continuing to inflict psychic damage.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
How does
Yes.
Mushfiq feel about bitter gourd? It's a very divisive vegetable.
Mm-hmm.
That's Corolla, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Corolla Lakshi. Yeah.
Mm.
Actually, I don't like bitter gourd. I don't know how Mushfiq feels about it. I think Mushfiq is able to eat anything. Right? I mean, he'd have to.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, it's a farming family. We haven't seen the old farming families of Gilly, but just to do a bit of narration here, Gilly is the obviously the farming district of Uduasha. It's very old. It has a lot of old families who are, many of them adhere to old ways, old gods, old pacts with the land, and yeah, some of the families are very powerful. They're landowners of an old guard who have resisted modernization for quite some time. And it's probably such a family you are dealing with here.
Yes, remember me. So I forget, but did we get a feel of like under? I mean, I know that like Lusad is supposed to be in danger, but did we get a feeling that it was like he was kidnapped by the fire speakers, or?
What? So to recap what happened here, basically he got smuggled into the city by Gurban the camel from a position of some desperation. This is what Gurban told you. He was in a bad way and needed to be taken somewhere safe. And then the fire speakers basically considered him an important asset. So it's like maybe he was kidnapped. It's the sort of thing where if a wounded man comes in and the political faction goes, this guy could be useful. They're not exactly kidnapping him by taking him in and giving him treatment, but they're also not, they're not kidnapping him at the same time. Yeah.
And
so that's sort of the situation.
And Mushfiq knows that that he's supposed to be in danger, like in the city.
Yeah. I mean, and he has been taken in by a faction of people who are Uduashan supremacists and who don't like Kethris, and your Ustad was a man who fought against the Uduashan noble families buying Kethris out.
Yeah.
So it's surprising that they would have at all kept him alive, but near as you know, they did. So, like, if they wanted him dead, they could have killed him when he came in wounded and tired, but they didn't.
It's when Mushfiq looks at it, I think it's kind of maybe just takes it all in and he just goes, shit. Because I think he just gets the feeling that, well, something's about to happen, right?
Yeah.
And and this fling, this farmer boy, did he say anything about where they're holed up?
Well, that's no great mystery. Everyone knows where the land is. They're bitter gourd plantations. They're They've got a prime piece of real estate, and they don't much like outsiders sneaking about. In fact, had I known Haroon had a fling with one of them, I would have advised him against it, but now it's kind of turned out useful, so I can't exactly punish the guy for it. But they're not the sort of people you want to get involved with. They're definitely not the sort of people you want to catch. You want to be caught by trespassing. But this is the only lead on the fire speakers we've had in a while. They've been remarkably quiet.
think,
like I said,
yeah, well,
Yeah. Like I said, doesn't seem to me like they're just reading the pamphlets. I think my feeling is they're in bed together, figuratively speaking.
I think Mushroom mulls this over for a few bit, and he just said that. And I think maybe he's saying this more to himself, where he just goes, "No, this has been kept waiting for too long, dangerous or not." And he looks at the pamphlet again, Ludash after Ludashans, and he says, "This is not going to end well for either one of us."
Probably not.
They're talking about the accuracy, but it's only a matter of time before it's us or whoever else as well. We're gonna need to nip this problem in the bud. But Usa Shahid, why have they taken him? I don't understand. The only people who really care about him is, well, us, and there's been nothing, no ransom note, nothing. They haven't tried to twist our arm in any way, just kept him.
I agree, it's weird. And the fact that we haven't seen any traces of them in their usual haunts either, I'm guessing it's because they've gone to ground Gilly Gilly Gully. No one thought to look there.
So I think we've covered everything we needed. Then Mushfiq holds the pamphlet and goes, "All right, I'll take this back. And I'm gonna be able to count on your help for this little when we break in, right?"
You're going to be able to count on the fact that you pay me. Omid says, frankly, because this is the kind of man he is.
And Mushfiq goes, "Discounted rates, of course, between old acquaintances."
Yeah. Omid, he raises his hand and he inspects his fingernails and he says, "Of course, discounted rates on coin and on reliability."
Nice. Very good.
I think Mushfiq agrees. I mean, it's not like we trust him either way. So
Yeah.
All right.
Indeed.
So
Yeah,
what's next?
so that's the setup.
Okay. So the thing about this is that Mushfiq's the only one who can lead us towards Shahid. In that, none. Obviously, if Mushfiq talks about it, we'd all be very supportive and go into it. But he has to take the point on it, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we might be able to tie this into something else. I was thinking is that I also wanted Mushfiq to explore the all the demonic interest in the with us, right? Because also what's also weird is that technically the crew, the Rising Moon Sword School, is just a sword school, but we've been getting a lot of attention from demons and whatnot, and that's something that actually which we've been trying. I said that I tried to figure out for a while now, and this might be a one way off saying that Kethrisi lore, anything that the demons might be interested in, was that Shahid would know, and we should go get him and see what's going on.
And to make it clear why this is interesting from a broader context too, is obviously you have been looking for the fire speakers, you've been looking for Ustad Shahid, and there have been no trace. So I think, as Omid said, I think basically the whole faction is hiding out in Gilly Gilly Gully, relying on probably not just one family, but a few. So there are multiple reasons why this is interesting, right? For one, the fact that they are trying to control Uduasha's food supply at this moment. Probably not great for the Kethrisi or for any of the immigrants in the city, really. So, yeah.
Might be the kind of thing we can get the bot involved in.
Yeah. There are reasons to care about this beyond Ustad Shahid, because there's definitely a conspiracy brewing.
Yeah, I'm sure House Nixis might like to hear about this.
Mm-hmm.
Just get us in deeper.
They probably know. They're probably the ones behind it.
And
feelings.
that's just what they want you to believe, man. Like they just
Mushfiq's a
want you to
house. Mushfiq is a house NXS agent.
All
Trey,
along.
you're a house NXS agent.
Everyone can't be
In
a
real
house
life.
Nexus agent.
The
Some
numbers
people
make
are
it.
house other people agents too, you know.
I'm hearing a lot of you're a House and Nexus agent from Klow all of a sudden. Are you sure
You
you're
know
not a
what?
House
You're
Nexus
right.
agent?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
what game are we playing again?
Werewolf, right?
Yeah. Also, I will point out that technically all of you are House of Nix's agents. You have +1 status with them and have
No!
No! This isn't how it works.
I'm not a house Nexus agent t-shirt is causing a lot of questions already answered by my I'm not a house Nexus agent t-shirt.
Indeed.
By the time this episode ends, we are going to have this line of merchandise coming out saying we are not House and Nexus agents. So please
Yes.
keep
Indeed.
an eye out.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Yeah. Right. So that's the setup.
Mhm.
I think I want to frame. Let's do a brief frame of everyone discussing this. So, information has been brought to you. We are at
Yes.
some sort of table in your new lair. And what does this look like? I just want to briefly paint the scene for your new lair because we haven't seen like where you meet. Is it still where you eat? Is this a conversation that's happening over food?
Oh.
Didn't we say that the lair was essentially like rebuilt from the
Yeah.
from scratch?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're like I think the one of the meeting areas that makes sense is the training ground in the middle, which is I think hexagonal.
Yeah.
But yeah, you could also be okay, are you meeting over a meal or are you meeting overseeing your students' training? I think those are the two like interesting backdrops.
Let's meet over a civilized cup of tea.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
All right,
fair
because
enough.
we still have Wolf's head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
so then we're in the training yard, sitting at an outdoor little table, enjoying the breeze, having tea. There we go.
Mm-hmm. I see. Auntie Saida, when are we going to get rid of that gigantic ugly table? It's been in the lair for like weeks.
I am waiting for the right time. I'm waiting for my students to stop asking me questions that may incentivize me to keep it. But perhaps most of all, I'm waiting for someone to help me carry it down to the well. I'm glad that my answer has so
Is this
satisfied your curiosity that you have no follow-ups whatsoever. This is
No,
also
I
never the case.
I was just
Is it-
wondering that, I hadn't asked about it for weeks, but nothing was happening. And then I said nothing, and still nothing is happening. I feel like the scientific method has proven that this isn't working.
I'm sorry to tell you, but the scientific method is part of the colonial mindset. And
Is this
if
you
had
asking for
read-
help, Saida, now, or are you going to go down to the well by yourself?
Clementine, I am attempting to discipline my student.
It's
Oh,
working
continue.
very much.
Yes, I
Please have some more tea.
uh,
Mushfiq bhai.
Yes.
Mushfiq.
You say as Mushfiq comes running into the yard.
Yes, I mean, why else would I say it?
Yes.
doesn't your
I'm
I
doing
mean,
that too.
sometimes I
Like,
do say Mushfiq bhai.
No,
but in a
no.
wistful sort of way.
I'm just saying that too. But
Yeah.
detail how Mushfiq is coming in. He's not just strolling in. Casually. Like this is
But
this is
I do-
important.
But I do think every now and then Bidrohi just does say, Mushfiq bhai.
I think when I say Mushfiq, I'll say, Mushfiq, don't you have some theory about how the scientific mindset is a colonial hangover?
The hell is a scientific mindset?
Yeah, see? That's what I mean.
Mushfiq bhai can never be colonized. He's 100% himself, and there is no room for anyone else to come in and turn him into another thing.
I have grave news regarding Mushfiq, but perhaps we should keep that for another day. Regardless, Clementine, you're not wrong that I need help, but I will admit that it is an incredibly difficult subject, and I'm not sure how I might go about tackling it, even in and of myself. And so that is what is occurring.
Would you like me to help you?
I had hoped that perhaps Lord Murad would have offered by now, but I think he is. Yes,
Have you tried asking Tipu's mother?
I will not ask that woman. As you know, she and I are not speaking to each other.
Vidra is just shaking his head.
Yes.
Tipa's mother would be the perfect person to help to dispose of this table because she's a lore keeper of the Kethrisi ways.
That is exactly why she and I do not speak, because
Yes.
I am cooking up blasphemy at home. We don't need store-bought blasphemy. We have perfectly good blasphemy at home.
Yes, okay.
But yeah, I mean, I guess Mushfiq comes running in, and it's almost strange to see such urgency on his face.
Yeah, and I guess
It's not even dinner time.
Yeah, and while you were having that conversation, Mushfiq caught his breath, and he goes, "Mushfiq also has bad news for Mushfiq."
Oh,
And he
no.
puts the
Why are you speaking
flyer on the
third
table.
person?
It says the fire speakers. They're making their move.
You may have to tell me who the fire speakers are so that I might rate this with the appropriate gravity. Because I don't think Saida... They have probably known this and then they have deleted it from their mind.
Auntie, they're a collection of Udwashan racists. They're like just these... sorry. No,
They pay
please,
well.
Sibling Clem.
They pay well for what it's worth.
Sibling Clem, have you been working for racists?
I think Mushfiq can just say, "Here, just read this. See who they are from in their own words."
Wait, Sibling Clem, do you know where they are?
No. The last I met with them was your duel, actually, with Malira Clev. One of them was watching. Well, two of them were watching.
What?
They had some sort of stake. Have you heard from your sister recently?
Yeah, Bidruhi's face just darkens a bit. And then he just says, "Yeah, I have heard. She's doing well enough." Why are you asking?
That's good. Moss killed one of them in the street.
That's the sort of thing she should be doing. Excellent. Very good.
Yeah.
Proud to be her sibling.
It's more that I'm surprised they haven't struck against her, indeed against the school yet.
Well, from what we can tell, what they're trying to do is strike against the Kethrisi people in general and raise up a whole bunch of hullabaloo. Like this sort of thing, and then he taps the notice or the leaf, the treatise. He taps it and says, "This sort of thing is the last sort of thing we need." Okay, right now, food is like now so expensive, and even our coffers are running a little low. I think like Bidruhi, I think not just Bidruhi. I think we can just kind of flash back to this. I think we've been like running a soup kitchen as well. I think that just makes sense, right?
Yeah.
So in the background, I think we have a soup kitchen going on, right? And then Bidruhi just taps the treatise, and then he says, "And we are like, we're doing what we can, but I don't know if you've been seeing the money lately, but like there's not a lot of the money left these days. Okay, this is emergency situation, but we need to address it and get our people fed as soon as possible. And we definitely will not be getting our people fed if the farming families in Gilly are being turned into Udwashan supremacists. Okay, we need to. This is, I think, biggest threat, and this is clearly their first attempt at discrediting all the Kethrisi, and then Sibling Clem, as you point out, they're going to come for us. We need to come for them first. First we come, then they come. But first we come, and they do come. Yes.
Bidruhi,
Yes.
I believe we have discussed your predilection for turning really any conversation into some fashion of sexual innuendo, have we not?
What was sexual about this? We're talking about people starving.
Yes, Auntie, please take this seriously.
4 hours of drills tomorrow, the both of you.
And now who's talking about sexual things?
4 hours, and I will accept no compromise. And I think what is happening here isn't, she's not telling them you need to drill. No, she's telling them you need to be in charge of the students. And it is the most boring, job.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like, it offers no, like, personal satisfaction whatsoever.
I like that this is an opinion that a teacher has. Good job, Saida.
You know what? A teacher should have a clear way to punish their pupils, and in this case, it is with teaching. So, don't you enough of your lip? I think is what I would say.
Clementine looks very pleased with himself because I think they were due to do that. Yes,
Yes,
tomorrow.
indeed,
Like,
absolutely.
excellent. More time to get up to whatever I want to get up to.
So if
Yes.
Saidant is done talking about sex, and then I look at Saidat to confirm that that's the case, and then I just move on. Then we should outline our first plan of striking against these fire speakers and disrupting their arrangement with these gilly people.
Looks like you've got a plan in mind, Mushfiq.
The plan seems straightforward enough. This family, the Bittergourd Bakshi, seems to be their first, the first family that's fallen in line. And if that's the case, then that's our only lead. So either we get someone to talk, or we, have to break in, see what's there, and take it from there.
I think the important thing here is to consider two ways of approach. I think this is like a very make or break moment for us, because there are two paths ahead of us, I think.
Philosophically.
Yes. And also in terms of action. But it's like this. This is the first major challenge we are facing as the Ketrisi, while we are as community leaders and protectors of the Ketrisi. Okay? But it will not be the last one. Right? It's just the first, and then there's going to be more and more of these people who are going to blame whatever's going on us. And all the Skovlanders, but they can take care of themselves. There's going to be more of these. And right now, if these Bittergourd Bakshi people are in cahoots, then we have two ways. We can either go to them and convince them that we are nice people and that this is bad for them, that and they should be generous and all that and not listen. We can do that. That is one way to do it. But I am thinking that the main reason that the people might want to go after the Ketrisi is not because we're rich and powerful or anything like that. We aren't. It's because they think we're weak. And I think in Uduasha, no one goes after anyone if they think that they're stronger than them. Right? Which is why I'm thinking we should go for the second option, which is these Bakshi people, they have food and they don't want to give it to us. And then maybe other Gilly family people, they also don't want to give the food to us. I say we go to the Bakshis, make an example of them, and take their food. They have plenty enough to sell to the rest of Uduasha. We take what we need for our people, and we show them that the fire speakers are not people to be listening to.
I don't mind the plan at all, but it doesn't. We deal with the Bakshis. The fire speakers will look for someone else. We need to.
We scare the people. We show them. Sure, maybe another family listens, okay? But it'll have to be a strong family. If we keep doing this, if we keep taking what is ours, what we also deserve, then people will be less inclined to listen to these fire speakers.
I will also weigh in just with an out of character comment here as the GM. A possibility also, of course, is that if the fire speakers fail to protect the Bakshis, then their hiding place is probably compromised. It's difficult to hide with people who are very disappointed in you.
Yeah, for sure.
And they would need the consent of the Gilly families to hide down there, because the families know everything that happens in the valley. So
yeah. I think the reason Bidru is not aiming for that angle is because that angle is most relevant for Mushfiq, and it's not something that's important for Bidru yet. But it of course helps in that respect. Tree, you were saying?
Oh no, I was gonna say that out of character, I think this is interesting and fun. I think in character, someone needs to sell Saida on this, because so far we have mostly been fighting people who have declared themselves our enemy actively rather than passively. Or we have been kind of involved in supernatural stuff, right? But this is us basically saying we are now in a position to genuinely just throw our weight around and get things, right? And
Yeah.
which I think like is interesting, but Saida will have to be somewhat convinced that this is like I wouldn't say moral because they've done loads of immoral shit, but maybe like somewhat ethical, right? Like this is not something that's like completely against our code or something because we're genuinely just turning up and fucking somebody up because we don't like what they're saying, question mark.
Yeah, the Bakshis have done nothing wrong whatsoever. They've just raised the prices in an impending famine. It's just capitalism,
sure.
baby.
Yes, but like, I think Saida would say, this is why we should murder all the demon princes. Not this is why we should go after this specific family.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair.
I think if Saida were to say that, I think the obvious answer would be we can't do that yet.
Yeah, so I think like we should have this conversation.
Yeah, let's do it.
So I think this will occur, and Saida will just say, is there a reason we do not simply steal the food or murder the fire speakers themselves, or we bring much attention upon ourselves, and I'm not sure for what benefit. What do we gain?
What do we gain is that there won't be riots in the streets when the Bakshis cut off food supply to the hospitality district.
The
That is going to occur.
The Scotlanders as well. They'll be equally as affected as us. We ally with them. You're friends with the Bob, aren't you?
Somewhat.
We make a demonstration. It went well for us in Pasahantu. We show that the hospitality ghetto in Bundavest by association will not be stepped on. We fight back rather than waiting for the fight to come to us, Saida. We'll gain out of this.
I do not doubt that we will gain because we have a sword in our hands and we are not afraid to use it. I doubt whether this is the wisest course of action. And I must admit, it does not sit very well with me that we might be doing to others what was done to us. Though I understand that we might not be in the position that I'd like to be able to afford our principles. Is there a reason we cannot simply take what we need? Is there a reason we must engage in overt violence?
Bidrohi looks confused by this, and then he says, but Saidanti, if you go up to them and take what you need, you're going to have to be violent.
Yes. But the violence will not be the message.
Yeah. Violence is always a message.
Which is why I am wary of using it when it seems to have no other end.
It has a very important end, Saidanti. People are going to be violent to us. And right now, I don't know if you've been paying attention to what people are saying, but you say that we will be drawing attention to ourselves. We already are in attention. We raised a Kethrisi flag. Thank you, Sibling Clem, for that, by the way. We raised a Kethrisi flag on top of Jasper's estate on a big kite. We have the Ansarek people coming in and making us a big fancy house a few months before a famine hits. Right? People are already looking at us, and we are not looking very good right now. We are looking like a symbol. We're looking like upstarts, and people are going to try to take shots at us and try to bring us down. Very soon, the people we're feeding with their soup kitchen, if we can't keep going and if we all just have this big fancy house but no money to feed them, they're going to turn on us too, our people. I don't want to be doing this either, really, but like, I think we have to.
Yeah,
I'm not against the violence. No, sorry, go on.
I was gonna say that, yeah. Like Vidra is right. Like, even when we've done nothing, we've attracted attention. On Ixis, on Sarek, like from the start. You know. They threw Prince Khatam into the fire, right? Why? What did Ketters have to do with anything? Even when we were minding our own business across the whole desert, they came for us. It doesn't matter what we do. I think it's time we take our fate in our own hands.
But there is some difference between the noble houses who run the place and the day-to-day evil. And if we are committing now, as we seem to be, to also strike against those, then I think we must know that we cannot stop there.
I don't intend to stop there.
And if you don't intend to stop there, I think it's important to know what comes next.
What comes next is I try to figure out what the hell is going on. And I know one man who might be able to help me figure that out. And the fire speakers have him. Why are the demon houses so interested in what we are up to? It's funny, isn't it, where they tried so hard to drive us out of Ketris, but since we've been here, they've been positively friendly. There's something going on that they're not saying. We are being used in some kind of a bigger game, and I don't want to find out when it's too late.
How does Clem feel about this?
I think Clem looks at Michigan and goes, so you've got somebody in the fire speakers then. That's what this is all about.
Yeah, it is. And I've been letting him down for too long. Which I think also is a more honest reflection of Mushfiq's motivations here.
Yeah, I think for Saida, what they're kind of asking for is this clarity, right? Are we doing this for the Ustad, or are we doing this for power? And one of the reasons they want, I mean, you know what? I'll just say this. I think they will say, if we are attacking them because they have your Ustad captive, then that informs their approach, and it's a different approach. If we're attacking them because we deserve respect, that's quite different. And I think if we are doing this,
both is true, right? He doesn't want to see food riots. He doesn't want to see all this again. But he also just wants to.
Yeah. So I think Saida is basically saying, if we are doing this in order to get the respect that we will need, lest we be caught off guard, then we cannot stop with just one family. We have to do this surgically. We have to convince them that it's not simply a problem of giving up one of their own so that we might do better. It's a problem of them treating us as if they can take advantage of us. And it can no longer be simply about these bitter gourd bakshis. It must be about more than them. Do you take my point?
Yeah, I think Mushfiq ever disagreed with that, and he goes, the bitter gourd bakshi is the lead that we have. They can lead us to the fire speakers, and then the fire speakers will lead us to whoever else they're trying to rope in on this.
Let's just go in, take a bunch of food, and tell them to go fuck themselves.
And also,
exactly the kind of thing I think we should do that. Let us make arrangements to ensure that when we get the food, that we can use it well. And let's not fuck this one up. I think that would be bad. Let's not fuck this one up. Clementine.
Yes?
Will you come with me to meet the Bob?
I did have plans, but of course, Saida, I'll accompany you, yes.
Very good. In that case, we ought to make preparations for this.
That would be wise. Rafiq, who did you get the pamphlet from?
Omid, he brought it to me.
Do you think he'd be ready for something like this?
Yeah, but just watch your back.
I'll watch mine I'll I'll watch yours if you watch mine.
I think a
Like
single
same.
drop of sweat goes down Mushfiq's forehead and goes, yes, I will watch your back. Yes, I will do that. Yes.
I cannot believe that this dumb plan is working.
I'm going to nudge Saida in the elbows and like give a big eyebrow wiggle, which is the first indication I think that Saida has received that Bidrohi has been orchestrating this.
Apart from like the really obvious signs, but I guess Aida wasn't there for any of them.
Exactly. You were passed
Yeah,
out for
sure.
most of it.
Yeah, you're not wrong. And I will just say,
Saida was passed out on having like these strange nightmares.
yeah, true.
Yeah.
No comment. I will just say, look, if you've got other plans, go. I don't want to stop you, but one of the things that gets us in trouble with the Scotlanders is an impression that we don't like outsiders.
Oh, so I'm a diversity hire.
Yes.
I don't know what that means.
Oh, I know what it means. I have a book for you, Saidanti, to read up on it afterwards.
It's a good book. Bidri, he lent it to me.
I see. Does the student become the teacher, I suppose? You know,
Listen,
all my life, I have not taken advice from children younger than me. I do not intend to start now. Never mind.
listen, if Sibling Clem has plans, I am very free. I would love to meet the Bob. Always wanted to meet the Bob.
No, it's fine. I can cancel them.
Then go. Why are you talking about it? We don't have much time. People are starving.
Indeed.
You should speak to Jackal, actually.
Ah,
I bet she'd
yes,
be
you should
interested.
speak.
Mhm.
Yes,
We've clearly had good outcomes on speaking to old rivals.
The reason I'm not going to speak to Jekyll is that you're going to talk to Bob, which is roughly the same scene, and we have very little time. So let's keep it rolling.
I would be interested in seeing Jackal brought into this, but the Bob makes more sense to approach it first, given that he is the.
I mean,
I'm
yeah,
sure
he's sort of the face.
Jackal's probably going to be there because the Bob runs this stevedore gang. Jackal runs a gang of violent thugs.
again, yeah.
Yes, so she's probably going to be there for your conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Okay,
I'm going to stay out of it, mostly because I'm not well.
Yeah.
Sure.
So, let's move it ahead. You have decided to go about your courses of action. Your plan is, it sounds like, so we haven't gotten to the score plan yet, but it sounds like you're basically planning a hit, a break-in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a smash and grab. We're gonna smash him and then we're gonna grab the reputation. Not clear.
Yeah, the reputation and probably the food, right? So just to clarify a little bit, like even before we get to the scene, I think it's helpful to clarify a couple of details of what's happening. So the reason why this has come to a head now, why the fire speakers are putting out this, like intensifying the propaganda effort, is probably because the Bittergourd Bakshis are in the process of harvesting like a really good crop. So, you know, there's your goods to steal. They have the harvest. Obviously, it's big and heavy, but it is being loaded probably into some sort of... Probably it's being loaded onto golems.
Right.
To be taken. And normally this would just be taken to, you know, vendors, vegetable markets. This is how this normally goes. But now who knows where they are precisely taking this. But just to clarify so that we have a clear target of something to steal, there's going to be golem loads full of bitter gourds, bottle gourds, winter gourds, all kinds of produce.
As we know them in my country, Potlakai, Kakarkai, Birakai, etc.
Yeah, a whole lot of kai. So I just thought that was good to clarify so we know what we're stealing, which is these loads. So it's obviously not portable enough, food for this many, that you could just pick it up and run with it, but you can hijack whatever transports.
Yeah.
But they are probably still being loaded in Gilligali, so...
Yeah, I think one of the things that I want from meeting the Bob actually is to acquire an asset, which is like just like people who will help us move the stuff.
Fair enough. Okay, and it is possible to gather information exactly like what is being planned for the harvest, and all of that, and a little more about the family and so forth. But so that's where we are at. So their goods are in a position to be stolen if you can either bring transport of your own or hijack one of theirs.
Yeah.
So you meet the Bob, probably down where we saw Mushfiq before. The lock porters are sitting idle. Many of them are unemployed. Because, like, apart from food not coming in, this is just bad for them too, because they don't have work. And, you know, this is a setting where people are paid hourly and just sit around on the dock until work shows up. So this is where we find the Bob, sitting on a barrel, smoking a pipe. And yes, let's say Jackal is also there. Let's say that she is in the scene as you find them.
Yeah.
So the Bob is this, like, rather friendly stevedore. In some sense, he is a union man, right? And he's just looking out for the workers. In the other sense, he's a gangster because that's what it takes in this kind of setting to be a union man. Jackal, on the other hand, is a straightforward gangster, and so they have a somewhat uneasy alliance. They're both Skovlanders, but they're not part of the same gang. So
that makes sense.
Yeah. So this is where you find them: Bob on a barrel, smoking a pipe. Jackal pacing, looking irritable beside him.
Yeah, I think as we approach, I will just tell Clementine, so that's Jackal. I'm pretty sure Bidrohi has some kind of homoerotic tension with her. How he manages it, despite them not being the same gender, I don't know.
I will point out, Clem has met Jackal. In fact, Jackal threw a firebomb at Clem. So
very good.
I'm familiar.
Yeah, and then I'll say, the other one is for some reason called the Bob, even though I'm pretty sure he's just called unclear. Anyway, I don't think anyone else in this meeting is really going to matter, but if they do, it's going to be on you, because I can only handle about one person at a time before getting very testy these days. And I think the problem is that, of course, because we may not be eating as well as we used to be, I think Saida's just like more like irritated about everything and like on a shorter.
Does she get hangry?
Yeah, I think. I mean, yeah, 100% she gets angry. Hangry, I mean, but yes. So yeah, and I think as we approach the Bob, I will say, "Ho there."
Welcome. Welcome. Take a seat. We don't have much in the ways of victuals to offer you, but we can offer you some. Can offer you some beer if you want.
I wouldn't say no. So I'm going to look at Clementine and I'll say, maybe we should have the conversation before either of us drinks too much of it.
Sounds like a good idea.
Yeah.
I've brought some jalebi.
Jackal looks at Bob and says something to him in Skov. I don't know that any of you understand it, but she is talking to him.
Clem was there for several years.
Yeah? Yeah. The gist of what she's saying is we're sharing drinks with these people now. And yeah, she is... I mean, she doesn't hate you or anything, but there's definitely been an unsteady situation since you kicked Jackal off your turf in Bidrohi's absence. And in fact, Jackal hasn't seen Bidrohi since, so...
Oh, can I spend some stash here and produce... I think Clem's brought food with them.
Oh.
Okay.
Back in Skovik, I've come with food as well, so it's not just you who's sharing.
Yeah, she smacks her lips and she says, well, that changes things. All right. And she switches back to Hadrathi and says,
oh my god, is that her Skov accent? I guess we did establish that kind of like...
She's been talking cowboy this whole time, Jackal. That's been her thing. So
Yeah. Very good.
So she says, well, all right, y'all have a seat.
Mm.
It's been cowboy on cowboy violence this entire time because Clem has a
Yes.
Stetson.
Yes.
He has the boots.
Uh-huh. Yeah. So he actually sits down at the table, but I think the Bob will do most of the talking, seeing as he is. That's his thing.
Yeah, that's the job.
Yeah. So he looks between you and he says, "So, how can I help you out today? Aside from sharing my beer in exchange for your food, which I will say, thank you very much." And he holds
Well-
up a bit. I think it's thematically fitting and interesting if the food you have been able to get a hold of is in fact gilly gully vegetables, because like so
Yeah.
far they're just being sold on the open market. So he
Yeah.
picks up whatever like vegetable, probably some sort of like vegetable stew or some such, right?
Mhm.
With a little bit of bread. So he dips it, tastes it, looks you over, and goes, "I assume this is either about a threat or an opportunity." And he
It's
chews
both.
the bread thoughtfully. Mhm.
I don't think we are not so lucky that we only get to have one thing at a time. No, it's in fact exactly the food that we're here to talk about. Seems like some of the gully farmers might be getting ideas into their heads that Udwashas for Udwashans only. And seems like we've got some, what's the word for it? Price gouging headed our way.
Oh yeah, that's the word for it.
Yeah, he frowns and he looks really worried about that. And he says, "Vegetables about the only damn thing my people can afford these days. You're saying they're gonna spike up the prices of them too?
That's what it
We've been
seems
living
like.
on nothing but carrots and peas for weeks now. We can't afford those."
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right.
And seems like there's a little collective of them. Years ago when we first moved here, we thought there might be some solidarity between farmers. We were definitely wrong. And it just seems to be getting worse. So there's some people, look, I don't know what it sounds like in Skovik, but in Kethrisi, it's genuinely, it sounds a bit like a joke. So I won't blame you if you don't take this seriously, but the family's called the Bitter Gourd Bakshis.
And can't say I know of them, but I don't spend a damn lot of time down in Gilly Gully.
Right. Well, imagine that I might say and I guess we're both speaking Hadrathi, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So imagine that I might call somebody, I don't know, potato stew Pete. Not exactly the kind of thing that,
You're talking to a man called the Bob.
Yeah.
Sure, but he's not
He gave
potato stew Bob.
He gave himself that name to be non-threatening, so he understands non-threatening names. You see?
Indeed, yes. Well done, him.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I think I will say they seem to be on the way for making both your people's and my people's lives harder. And I know we've had our troubles, and I'm gonna, side eye one of our troubles. And I will say, but if there was ever a time for us to act together, it is now.
And what precisely do you mean by friend?
I'm not going to pretend otherwise. It's we're gonna do a smash and grab job. We're going to show them that the hospitality ghetto isn't there to be underestimated. We're gonna try and liberate as much food. And I think, the word liberate is being used in a very deliberate sense here.
Yeah.
We're gonna try and liberate as much food as we can. If it turns out that we can send a message, then we're going to do that as well.
Mm-hmm.
And we'd like the help, but more than the help, I think it's the kind of thing that your boys should be involved in.
Yeah, he considers this, and he says, "I appreciate that, and I think this is the time to make your acquire asset roll."
Yeah.
To be honest,
Makes
I think
sense.
this is the case. Like, I don't think you need to persuade him to lend his strength, right? So this acquire
Yeah.
asset roll is more how many people can he lend you.
Absolutely.
And I think I don't remember if the Bob is an ally or not, but I think
No,
take a
he's not a
bonus
close
dice.
Yeah.
Take a bonus dice here anyway. For one reason why I think he's more inclined to help you, and it's that most of his people are unemployed anyway.
Yeah.
So I think it's likely that you can get more people than normal. So
It's an acquire asset.
yeah,
Mhm.
it's an acquire asset.
We
with
have a
bonus
claim
die.
that gives us a bonus dice as well.
Yes. Okay, so that's 2 extra dice.
Mhm.
What I will say here is there? I'm wondering if there's an interesting devil's bargain to kind of guarantee to him that he will get some like a significant share of the spoils, right? Like, so we will get an extra die, but in return, I basically confirm that like it's not I'm borrowing your guys and then we get the food and then I pay you. It is we do the hit and then we all get some food.
Okay, yeah, I have an unusual form of Devil's Bargain, so I'm going to twist the rules a little bit. This Devil's Bargain will not give you an extra die, it will straight up give you extra effect, so we will upgrade whatever you roll.
Sure.
So you already have 2
Yes.
bonus dice. But the reason this is extra effect and gives you more men is the simple thing you can promise is that the people who participate in the thing will take a lion's share of food, right? It's one of those like, sure, you help us hijack the cart and you can take as much food as you can carry in a basket yourself, which is small in context, but still quite a lot for everyone who participates.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think like I'll kind of say that's we've decided in the crew that like that's going to be true for us as well because we're the ones taking the risk, right?
Yeah.
So we're doing the score because we understand that like our community is needed, but also we need our own food. So it seems like a consort.
I guess it can be an action. It's usually acquire assets is rolled with tier.
It's a roll with tier. Okay, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah,
Okay,
so roll 4 dice
would you
total.
like-
Tier is 2 and 2 bonus dice.
Yeah, would you like some aid in here? Because I think
yeah, go on. Absolutely.
I'm down to take some stress to aid you, and I brought along food to
yes.
whet their appetites.
Yeah, makes perfect sense. So that's an assist.
3 bonus dice.
Yeah, so it's a total of 5 dice.
That's 3 sixes before the increased effect.
Yeah, okay. So that means tier plus 2 assets, and then you upgrade it again because of your Devil's Bargain. So that means tier plus 3, which means that we land at a tier 5.
Yeah.
People.
What does this mean? Can this mean that we can make the scale of this bigger?
Yes. So if you're just looking to get people here, what the book tells me is this is a massive gang, which means that this means you can get like several dozen Skovlanders down to Gilly Gilly Gully.
Right.
Like this is almost not a score, but a riot at that point.
Yeah.
You're looking at well above 50 people.
Yeah, maybe
That's what
it's,
Saida was talking about. We have to hit a bunch of people.
Yeah, maybe it's some of the Kethrazi as well. Maybe it's
Yeah.
the hospitality ghetto.
Yeah, I think in fact that's in line with what we were saying about making sending a message, right? Like that is and so maybe what it is in this case is that we aren't just like it's not just we will like attack this family, but it's possible that like we're just gonna 100 of us are gonna turn up and then attack Gilly Gilly Gully, and then which is definitely bad. Don't do this. But yeah,
well, okay. So the outcome of the critical hit here is that like getting these people down there is easy. The reason that you get this big of a gang at scale is because the Bob is actually quite good at leadership. So this is not just going to be like 80 unemployed stevedores storming out and stealing everything that isn't nailed down. They will have a manner of discipline. They'll actually be working together on this. And the good thing is they work in logistics. So they're very good at loading and unloading things in an efficient manner.
I'm not gonna lie, that was the key reason that I wanted because I knew that like they were going to be good at the thing that we cannot do, which is take the food off and or put them back on the carts.
Yeah. So I think the Bob just gestures with his pipe out towards the docks where he probably has a gang unloading like a massive barge right now, because some food still gets in, so there is a barge being unloaded, but it probably isn't all food supplies, right? It's like a trader, and there's like heavy security, so none of the stevedores steal anything. But he points and goes, "Once that gang's done with their barge, I know for a fact they won't have work for a week. Betcha every single one of them. If I talk to them, they'll turn up." And you see this like massive labor gang.
Yeah. 100%.
Who are used to working together and who are like several dozens of people. Yeah.
And I think I will smile at him and say, seems like the beginning of a very fruitful relationship.
I think we can wrap the scene there, to be honest. I think that's a cool place
wow,
to close
nobody
it on.
reacted to the pun, huh? Interesting.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
I liked it, but I also think that's why it makes a good place to close the scene on, because it's a punchline.
Yes, correct. Yes. Very good.
Yeah. So, you have a whole bunch of stevedores. Like an absurd amount of stevedores.
I mean, like so many. So many.
Yeah, they're really cropped up.
Yep.
I see where
Thank
you did
you,
that.
Salty.
Very good. Yeah, good.
Yeah, do we have any more gather information or other prep work we want to do for this score?
I've done what I wanted to do.
I know Clem had plans, so Clem should just do that.
Okay.
Clem's plans were going to indulge their vice.
Go do that.
Please go do that, yes.
Really should do that.
Uh-huh.
Just do a quick roll now.
Why did you
Yes,
take
I have a small flavor idea for this, actually. I think it would be cool. I don't think the Bob would be there in person, because like it sticks his neck out like a bit too far, but he will send some of his best like work bosses. And I think a cool way to indulge vice here is to make each of them like a dagger or something. Just like a badge of office, right?
Yeah, defo, yeah. Yeah, symbol of somewhat of an alliance.
Yeah, exactly.
And rather than like a dagger that you'd use to hurt somebody with, it's a worker's knife.
Yeah.
Which I think represents a little bit of a departure for Clem. And
yeah.
I rolled a 5. I've got 4 stress, but because of Sit by My Fire, I'm going to reduce that by 1 to completely clear my stress without overindulging.
Nice.
Yep.
Nice. Cool.
Yeah.
Alright. I know what my gather info is going to be.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to hit Gilly Gilly Gully. Now,
yeah,
the others may not know this because they're not like wise to Uduasha streets yet. But Gilly Gilly Gully has, for the last few years, well, I think for about as long as Bidrohi has been living in Uduasha, been known to also be the hangout of an international crime organization called the Hive.
Yeah. Don't get the international crime organization involved in our shit.
No, the thing is the international.
As if I don't want that. Sorry, go on.
The thing is, we are about to get involved in the international crime organization's shit. Yeah. So I want to find out.
Quite a lot of the farmers down there grow drugs.
Yes.
So this is a big reason for why. Yeah.
Yeah. So I kind of want to find out like what's going on with that, because like, okay, so growing drugs is probably not what the farmers want to be doing during a famine.
No.
How does the Hive feel about that? Or is the Hive like, well, actually, carrots are now more profitable than heroin?
Yeah. Do you want to figure out what the...
Yeah. I want to put some feelers out. And is this a good moment to debut my boys?
Yeah, sure. Let's debut the boys, your new personal gang.
Yes.
So, please tell me about them as they enter the scene in slow motion to talk to Bidrohi.
Yeah,
they're all wearing sunglasses.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're all decked out in the new threads that everyone in the gang now wears, courtesy of Tumdurji. So they're entering.
Mm-hmm.
So the first person to enter is Zud Mohitul, the unofficial leader of the gang, because the official leader is me. So he's the unofficial leader. That's how that works.
Right.
Yeah. I
So
think
he's
Zoot-
your official right-hand man, but there's somebody else who's the unofficial right-hand man.
Uh-huh.
No,
Okay.
but we don't have to dwell on it.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna insist that we do dwell on it at a later date, but okay.
Okay, we can dwell on it at a later date.
Yeah.
So he walks in. I think he's tall and very, very skinny. Like, I think he's worryingly skinny. And he walks in an ungainly kind of manner. He looks like someone he looks like a big heron. He looks like a big heron, and he wears a big hat that is always flopping around in the wind, and he keeps having to hold it down. The hat is one of his. It's not something Tum Dorji endorsed, and Tum Dorji hates it. But Tum Dorji built his suit around it because he refused to remove it.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
Yes. After that is following him is Bath Time, who is a very small woman wearing rubber gloves. And
Is this like a Batman thing? Is this like she's named after the thing that she fears the most?
Bath Time.
Like, what is the logic here?
Oh no, she's what's the word for someone who is like obsessed with cleanliness?
Yeah.
Oh, I know what you mean. Like,
I know the
that,
Bangla
and
word
also
for
she
it.
is the
Mhm.
cleaner. So
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Yes. Yes.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah. She doesn't speak very
Fastidious?
much. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
fastidious. Yeah. No, she's obsessed with cleaning. Like she's
okay.
like terrified of.
She's like a
germs.
germaphobe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she's got gloves and so on. Yeah. So that's her thing.
Mhm.
So she doesn't speak very much, as contrasted to Pilot, who doesn't speak. Then after that is Ripon the Ripper, who jumps in, says "Yowza," does finger guns to everyone.
Okay.
I've come back at the right time.
Yes.
I love how we're elaborating just a miniature other Blades crew here. Yes.
Yeah, that's what's happening. Like, Zoheb's just getting to make his own Blades crew in the middle
Yes.
of our Blades crew.
Yes. Uh-huh.
Night Terror.
Rip on the Reaper, finger guns. Yeah. Night
Yes.
Terror.
Night Terror is a woman who jumps in and says "Yowza" and does finger guns and then stumbles and falls on her face.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Please tell me that Night Terror has like a secret identity thing and is trying to be like, I am the Night, and then falls on her face.
Oh man,
Uh-huh.
he's Batman.
Yes. Uh-huh.
I thought
Yes.
I figured Night Terror was called Night Terror because they had Night Terrors.
Uh-huh.
Well, they also
Possibly.
want to be the Night Terror.
Okay.
Mhm.
They Ripon the Ripper and Night Terror grew up together. They've been like off and on lovers. Now they're just best friends. And
Okay.
and once Ripon the Ripper was like, I'm going to be called Ripon the Ripper. Night Terror was like, that's stupid. I'm going to one up you. I'm going to have a better serial killer name. Neither of them are serial killers.
Yeah.
They were in prison for tax fraud.
Uh-huh. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
This crew just gets
Uh-huh.
wilder and wilder. Okay.
The last person, sorry, not the last person, because I have 6 people. The 5th person is Sisimpur Susmita. Sisimpur is the Bengali version of Sesame Street. It's the Bengali franchise of Sesame Street.
Yeah,
Okay.
This is the most normal person so far
Uh-huh.
by
Yes.
name. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very normal person who walks in, and and when I say normal, they're like dressed in the suit, in like the nice suit and so on. They have an axe, and they're just kind of looking around, vaguely embarrassed to be part of the crew. But like I don't know, I guess they just stumbled into this chain gang while they were in prison, and then Bidre showed up, and now Bidre was like, I'm going to have everyone freed. All my best friends, including Sisimpur Susmita. And Susmita's like,
so,
This is
So
the
they
normal
met-
one.
yeah,
so they all met in prison. They weren't a gang before.
No, they met in prison. That
okay.
is correct. Yeah.
Except Ripon the Ripper and Night Terror, who've been best friends.
Uh-huh.
That's it,
Yeah.
So now she's just like along for the ride. She doesn't particularly want to be, but she's here. And
Okay.
and the last person is called Khichdi Khan.
Ah, yes.
Don't mind if I do.
Mhm.
You're
Okay.
wrong.
Yeah, and he walks in, and he's got a suit and so on, but unbeknownst to Tum Dorji, as soon as he got the suit, afterwards he put on an apron that says "Kiss the Chef,"
Oh no.
and he is wheeling in a pot of khichdi.
Okay. Good.
That's it. This is
This
the
is
gang.
your gang.
This is the
Very
gang.
good. And they are bringing you information about the hive's activities.
Yes,
That's
we agree.
the-
Yes. I mean, they're criminals. They know more about crime than I do,
Uh-huh.
even if it's tax fraud
Yeah.
for some of them.
Okay.
Yes.
Very good.
And they brought Kitchery.
Make
That's
your,
important.
yeah. Make
Yes.
your roll of whatever kind it is. I would love to linger on this amazing crew, but I also
No,
feel like we
it's
should
okay.
move on towards the
Yeah,
score.
yeah.
So
I think we should see more of them in the future.
yeah.
I just
I
want to
sure
say
hope
that,
so.
that if Mushfiq was here to watch all of this, he's just got the biggest smile on his face.
I'm sure Mushfiq can smell the Kitchery from a mile away.
Yeah.
Mhm.
No, not because of the Kitchery, just the entire gang. Just
Yes.
wonderful.
Yeah.
I love them all.
Good.
Yeah. Good.
Good. Okay, so it's to gather information. We have informants that gives us +1. Do we have anything else that's relevant?
It's +1 effect with informants, or is it +1 dice?
It's +1 dice.
Okay. Yep.
No, we have high society, but this is not high society.
Mhm.
Okay, let's go.
Yeah.
Let's see if this correctly rolls now 3 dice. It does roll 3 dice correctly. It's 5.
Okay. And what? It's a 5. Good.
Yeah.
So you want to know about the hive's activities?
Yes.
Yeah. So
Or
I
the
think what you
hive's
find.
stake in this, and
Mhm.
what we might do.
Yeah. So I think the hive are also foreigners to Duasha, and in fact, they are probably what spurred this on. Because it is, as you say, many of the farmers are not happy about growing drugs in this current situation, and in fact, this is the cause for some bitter rivalries. No pun intended with the bitter gourds, but some bitter rivalries between the families actually, because like there's a lot of family drama about, you know, some families are like, we've been growing melons for hundreds of years, and now you want to grow opium, and so the hive's stakes are basically that they are being pushed out by the fire speakers. Actually, they are the ones who engineered this perfect place for the fire speakers to set in, and going like, foreigners are taking your land, growing their opium on it. Fuck those guys.
Yeah, whereas the opium O'Sheas are just like really annoyed that like that traditional crop is being supplanted.
Yeah.
The
And
opium
so
O'Sheas
the hive,
are now canon, by the way. I've declared.
yes, the opium O'Sheas, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, the situation really is that the hive have stirred up a bunch of shit, and now they can't exactly handle it. They've pissed off a lot of the farmer families. They do control some land and some of the families. And to make this interesting, I'm going to mix in. So they're called the Bittergourd Bakshis because obviously there are several Bakshi families, because this is how farming goes. They split off at some point. So the other branch of the families, the Dilkusha Bakshis, who live by the Dilkusha, grow drugs now and are in the hive's pocket. And this has, of course, only inflamed conflicts and stuff. Like perhaps the two branches were on decent terms before, but now there's bad blood between them. So yeah, I think this is about what you find out on a 5. Basically, the hive are the reason why Gilly is such profitable breeding ground for the fire speakers to begin with, because they've been getting their hands all over a bunch of ancestral land and use it to grow drugs.
Okay. So this is good. I don't think it gives me any ideas for some. This gives me ideas, but not for this score. But we'll see if it comes in.
Yep, but I hope I answered your question.
Absolutely, you did. Yeah, I'm just flagging that this gives me an idea, but for later.
Yep. Yeah.
Excellent.
I think the main thing this brings in is that there are Bakshis who are not with the Bittergourd Bakshis, who are doing their own thing and who are with the hive.
And I think
so possibly there's an angle there.
The best thing that it tells us is that whatever we're about to do with this hit is unlikely to have the hive step in to protect the farmers. Like, it's not that kind of relationship at the moment.
No.
Like, we are not tangling with the hive, we're tangling with the farmers and the fire speakers.
Yeah. And it makes perfect sense for the fire speakers and the hive to be on completely opposite ends, considering the hive are super pragmatic, international, and the fire speakers are the exact opposite. They're extremely ideological patriots. So
okay, this gives me ideas for later, but cool. That's all I wanted to do.
Yep. Cool. So yeah, Zoot Mojito relays this information to you in his best prison lingo, and we don't get to see it, unfortunately.
Thankfully.
And
does
he talk like some people talk in like Guy Ritchie films? Is that the kind of vibe?
I don't know that that reference actually.
Oh no, not Guy Ritchie films. It's like in like Ocean's 11 when like they just like say some things and then it turns out that they mean something else. Like,
that-
we're gonna
that-
do like a fandango shift followed by
Oh yeah,
a
yeah, yeah.
double.
Yes, that's exactly
you're
how I
meant to
imagine him talking. Yes,
Yeah,
he has a
yeah,
lot of
okay.
prison jargon, most of which he's made up himself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
And Simpur Susmita translates it for me later. It's fine.
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
Mhm.
Good. Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, all right.
So, so we basically just mob Gilly Gilly Gully and steal a bunch of shit. So one thing that I'll
Yes.
point out as an element of Gilly Gully Gully that may be an issue for us is that in Gilly Gully Gully there's a location called the Buttery, which
The
is the Buttery, a military outpost that's been established by the noble houses to maintain emergency stores of food and to ensure the farmers of Gilly Gilly Gully provide adequate supplies to the city.
Yeah.
So obviously we are not hitting the Buttery. And we should try to make sure. We could, but then we're fighting the noble houses.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the thing that is going on here probably is I think the Bakshis are planning to bypass the Buttery entirely. They're doing some interesting tax frauding here because they don't want these emergency supplies to go to the Kethrisi, right? So they are smuggling their food up to some. They have some contact that is due to receive this food and sell it at a high price at an auction or something. Like they're not going through the normal channels. That's the entire point of what they're trying to do. They're trying to make a ton of money, and
they've managed to get food classified as like a rare object on account of the famine, and so they're actually selling the food like as like under the law that allows art to be auctioned off.
Yeah, something like this. So
do we know where the auction is? Sorry, please continue, and then I'll ask again.
The auction is probably in Pasarhantu because that's the main auction site, Charmin Heights. So they are probably going to transport the food from Gilly Gilly Gully up to Pasarhantu and have it sold off on auction. And they are doing some interesting tax fraud here. Like what they are doing is clearly illegal right there. Even Udvasha has some limitations on how much you're allowed to do price gouging and fuckery, but it's the very pleasant kind of illegal where you just fill out the paperwork a bit wrong and then bribe some people. So
yeah, I suppose we could hit them on the way to the auction. Maybe we do that like when they have the food out. But I think the vibe that I'm really getting and the one that I like best is a big mob of armed immigrants shows up to Gilly Gilly Gully, mostly hits the Bakshis, but like takes food from anyone who try, and just kind of like raises a fuss.
Yeah, I think it's also easier to take it while it's being loaded into the transports.
Yeah.
Than to actually hijack the transports once they're on the way, because
Let's just avoid the Buttery and the noble house guards who are there.
Yeah, and because we haven't seen the golems so much, I opted for rather than have wagons, they have the waxwork golems as transport.
Yeah.
So
That makes sense.
there are these big, like basically just walking tables made out of wax and wood.
Oh, might it be an idea to figure out who? So we've obviously got the Bittergourd Bakshis who are our main target. How about other families who might be involved with the fire speakers? Might that be something to look into?
You can
'Cause we've
absolutely
got
gather
so
information
many
to try to
people.
find. Yeah. You can absolutely try to find other families that are involved. They won't be maybe harvesting their crops at the exact same time, but you can find out how they're involved with the fire speakers for sure.
There's only one family that's like named by name on the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll have
Yeah.
The Potlakai Patels. Yeah.
because otherwise it's like, oh, just the Bittergourd Bakshis were affected.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a coincidence, but affecting all of these people who have fire speaker ties maybe we shouldn't be playing around with them.
Yeah.
Okay. Make this roll, and then I will ask Klow to answer it a little bit because Klow wrote this. So I think that's fair.
Yeah. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but Gilly Gilly Gully draws water from the reservoir, right? And the reservoir is also connected to Old Ypres.
Yep.
The
It
thigh
draws
bone
water
connected to the shin bone. Sorry.
It draws water from the Dilkusha, which flows into the reservoir, and the reservoir straddles Ypres and Gilly Gilly Gully, as I remember it.
Because I'm wondering whether, because I've been having dreams of Udawasha, as it were, would I be able to...
You've been doing what now?
Don't worry. It happened while
Uh-huh.
Saida was asleep.
Uh-huh.
Can I attune through my professor kindly teacher to
Yeah.
Oh my god.
see through, because the plants are fucked up, right? Can I see through those plants and see the secrets?
Yes, but it doesn't sound like this is without risk.
I love
So
a risk.
I think you can do it, but it will be risky standard rather than our usual gather information because the plants of Gilly Gilly Gully, very often the farmers have pacts with them directly, like there are gods in the soil. So spying on them, like spying on a family through their own crops, is definitely possible because the soil has eyes, but it's generally bound to the families by an alliance or pact. So I think it's a dangerous thing to attempt to do.
Yeah, that's cool. But I'm down for it. And yeah, I'm down to do that because it's fun as hell.
Yeah,
okay,
cool.
So
Okay, so you are going to you are going to go down and attune to the soil and the plants and the waters of Old Ypres. Yeah, this sounds very safe.
Yeah, it's
Normally it's Saida doing this kind of thing, so what a refreshing change of pace.
And you're doing this to find out which families are involved with the criminal organization.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
The fire speakers, of course.
Okay, yeah, I think you will get some extra good information here, though, because of the risk, because like it lets you spy on things directly. Okay, risky standard.
Risky standard.
I don't think there are bonus dice, but you may roll with your cohort if you want, because you are relying on the professor.
Yeah, group action then sounds good.
Yeah,
you got the bonus dice from informants.
Oh yeah, wonderful.
Wonderful.
So I'll do myself first with the bonus die. So that's 5. Then, well, I suppose, does my cohort get the bonus die as well?
I think they should.
Okay, let's do it. Let's apply it to your Shadowlands friend too.
My guy, my best friend.
Our Shadowlands desert. Yes, good. So it's a 5 all around, which means that you do get the information, but there is risk involved. And I will let you decide here, I think. Does this attune your senses directly to the plants and let you somehow look through their eyes? Like, does this feel as if your head is sticking out of the soil on their farm? That's one option. Or are you attempting to speak with the entity in the ground?
Oh, I think it's speaking with the entity in the ground because part of Clem's faith is to do with the earth itself.
Yeah.
Theirs is more kind of iron and metal than organic, but I think that's an interesting vibe to take.
Yeah, very good. So you reach out, you sit down, and you go into a kind of trance, and you find yourself drawn underground, I think, into like a home under the ground. And we will make this a scene because of the risky standard. It's like it takes a little time, but I think it's cool. So you find yourself drawn into a home of the gods underground, and it looks pretty much like a farmer's home, except that everything is like made from the soil and carved from it directly. So like little tables and chairs rise out of twisted roots out of the ground. There's a lamp in the sky, which is an inverted flower that opens to light. There's a little fireplace over which a pot is cooking. And you see a little man sitting opposite to you. He is like a small, dark-skinned man with a big nose. He's bald. He has large ears. And there's this pattern across his skin, as of the holes in lotus root when it is cut open, that seems to spread across him. And he looks at you very gravely. And he says, "Few speak to me directly. Few come into my home. Sit, eat of my growth." And there's some lotus root on the table.
Clem nods their head. Of course, thank you for inviting me as a guest. I appreciate your hearing.
Lots of hospitality. He says the lotus root is raw. It's not prepared in any way. Because, I mean, he's not a god of cooking. He's a god of plants.
Yeah. Clem pulls out, I think it's a small paring knife, and skins it first. And then just crunches it down. And I think with their table manners are crap. They're not going to wait to swallow before they speak again. So with their mouth full. There are people on your soil that I want to know about.
You come, you eat. Knowledge is in the roots. Ask your question. You will taste the answer. And we know what question you're asking, so I think you ask, like, who else has seen the fire speakers? And Klow, do you think that it is the oldest family in Uduasha that you wrote? Do you think that they would side with the fire speakers? They are called the Sadikars?
Yeah, because let's see. They can stand up to both the noble houses and the hive, is their thing.
Yeah.
So I'm
they're
wondering,
tough.
Yeah, so I'm wondering if they want the fire speaker. You know what? I think it's not that the fire speakers are influencing them as such. I think they are basically, they have that ideology anyway.
Yeah.
They're probably the main reason why Ketrisi, who wanted to work in the farms and so on, couldn't.
Yeah. So then what you see is a meeting between two old women, or what you taste, is a meeting between two old women. It's Auntie Aisha Sadikar, who is the head of one of the oldest and toughest houses, who is very, very proud in her and her family history. And she is the sort of woman, her family is the sort of family, right, where they take pride in being the salt of the earth, the true heirs to the land, work this with their own hands. As a matter of fact, they're landowners. They haven't, they've had farm hands do the actual farming for generations. But they still take pride in being farmers, of course. And she is having a meeting with another woman, a little younger than her, who is strict, severe, dressed in traditional, very formal robes, and wearing rings, whose insignias you cannot quite taste. But this is one of the fire speakers, one of their leaders, one of their philosophers, one of their scholars. You can tell as much from her poise as it comes through the root. And so, the Sadikars are involved with the fire speakers, and in fact, they even have one of the fire speaker philosophers as a guest in their home. Someone who would have good information on Ustad Shahed. So this is the extra information you get. There is a consequence.
Yeah.
And it is this. To get this information and to not offend your host, you have to eat quite a large quantity of raw lotus root, which is not healthy, and you're going to have a stomachache. Level 2 harm.
No, I've already got a stomachache. I've got so many stomachaches.
Yes. But I think it's the logical thing, because this is not a thing that is very healthy for you to eat raw.
No. Can I... This is a bit of an esoteric use of armor, but can I resist that using some armor? And the armor in this it's Severosi ore from the veins of Severos, mined directly from its earth. A trade.
Okay, so you're trading this to the god of the lotus root to spare your stomach?
Yeah.
Okay, sure. I will accept it as a use of armor, but I think in this case you must also spend a stash, because this seems like, spend a coin. I mean, so like 2 stash, because this is a quite valuable resource. But you can pay to be able to activate armor in this case, and in that case, I think both a coin and an armor spent will make this consequence go away. So I think what happens is still you eat a bunch of raw lotus root, which ordinarily would be really hell on your digestive system, but the god of the lotus root blesses it, so it's fine.
Love to eat something blessed by the god of lotus root.
Yes.
I'm so jealous.
At least it's not keeping me here. At least it's not, lotus eater.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
You know, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mm.
And so, yeah, that's the scene. So we found out that the Sadikars are quite intimate and close with one of the Fire Speaker philosophers.
And you should not
Are we
eat
about ready for
loads of don't eat loads of raw lotus root. You
Yeah.
can't pay your way out of it.
Uh-huh.
This is helpful
Yes.
advice. Thank you.
Yes. Yes, this would not work in real life. So, shall we go to the engagement roll and then take a break? Or,
Yes.
I would love that.
Yes.
Mm.
so, it seems like we're going in while they are harvesting stuff. We're doing a smash and grab, hijacking their golems, stealing their produce with a large gang of people, and of course dealing with their security, which is both their own farmhands, like people loyal to them who can fight. I think same as you, really. These are farmers who have learned a bit of martial arts on the side, but there are a lot of them. They have had scions who have been able to do this for quite some time. And there's also the matter of the client, like the auction house, whoever they're working with. But is this operation particularly bold or daring? I'd say so. You're starting a riot, so I think we're at 2 dice for that. Is this operation overly complex or contingent on many factors?
There are other factors involved, but in like the overarching scope of it, but like what we're doing is straightforward.
I think so too. So it's 2. Does the plan's detail expose the vulnerability of the target or hit them where they're weakest? I don't think so.
No.
Yeah,
I
it
don't
does
think
not
you've
seem like
identified a
it.
particular weakness. No.
Yeah.
Is the target strong against this approach, or do they have particular defenses? Yes, in this case they do. I mean,
Yeah.
as
I mean,
there is a food shortage, they are conscious of that their produce is highly desirable. That's why they're doing this in the first place. So
Yeah.
they probably don't have special defenses against this sheer quantity of people, but they do have like
Defenses.
strength against. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're back to 1 die.
Probably hired
Can any of
mercenaries.
Can any of your friends or contacts provide aid or insight for this operation?
They already are.
They are.
Yep, they are. Straightforward. So we're back to 2. Do any of your enemies or rivals interfere?
How is Omid? I mean, how are we mechanically dealing with him? He's on my rival.
I think we are not
per
dealing
se.
with Omid as a rival anymore.
Yeah,
I think we're
yeah.
dealing with him as a very loose cannon, but not as an
Yeah.
outright rival.
Yeah, but he has no reason to turn on us in this situation.
Yeah.
And Jackal
Maybe-
is also a rival, but has no reason to turn on you in this situation either.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah. The only people who could potentially even be involved at any sort of way is the Flatbird Uncles, but we don't need to involve them as an extra
No.
faction.
No. And Jackal and Omid, I think, might cause problem during the score, but I don't think they lose any dice. And you're high tier now. You're tier 2, which I think puts you on par with an old farming family. So
Mhm.
there's no tier. So you get 2 dice.
And +1 because we have.
So you get 3
Doorkeepers.
dice.
I think this
See
should
what's
be.
going on.
Hmm
I
We
think
should.
this Mhm.
I was going to say that we should consider whether success in this case is somewhat bad in that it's just going to lead to extra heat because of how big the successful riot is going to be.
Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
see. This is definitely not going to be a quiet score. That's for damn sure.
Good. That's part of the point.
Uh-huh.
When you play
Alright.
Bravos, you have to go big.
Yeah.
I think Aadiyat should roll.
Yes.
Mushfiq initiated this plan. So,
Ooh,
hmm
yes. Doing an else. I can never find the engagement roll button.
hmm
There we go. 2 dice.
3.
3
3.
because
And-
of door kickers.
Yes. Give me something good.
This is a very good
It-
engagement roll. It's a
it's a
5.
five.
Comfortable,
5.
risky. hmm
Nice.
Okay. Let us take a 5-minute break here and reconvene and resume. How long do we have? We
1.5
have
hours.
1.5
1.5
hours. That
hours,
should be good
yeah.
enough to get us started. We may have to pause mid-score, but then we'll have an exciting cliffhanger.
So just because I wasn't here for part of it, the plan is simply to while they're loading up the food, we take a bunch of our neighbors and riot.
Essentially.
I like it.
80 Skovlanders are going to rush in the middle of the harvest work. And then I think the plan is you guys are hijacking the golems that are already loaded. Probably that's what makes sense.
Plus,
So
like
they
40,
are stealing anything that isn't nailed down.
Plus, like 40 of our guys.
Yeah. So there's a bunch of people who are just going to be stealing stuff manually, but you are going for the big score, which is the fully loaded golem.
All right. Excellent.
Yep.
See you in 5 minutes. I have to go
See you in 5.
moisturize my sinuses.
I wish you hadn't said those words in that sequence.
That's why I said that.
No, this is serious stuff, Tree.
Mm.
Please.
Here close the doors to the house of endings. Those who dwell within are Zoheb, called Klow, Aadiyat, called Zoheb, Sawmitri, called Tree, and Salty. I have been Prince, your host. Our city of Uduasha is based on Blades in the Dark by John Harper and Evil Hat Productions, with special thanks to Johnstone Metzger. Follow us on Twitter or support us on kofi.com/desperateattune. If you want to engage further with us, we also have a Patreon at patreon.com/desperateattune, where you will get our newsletter, extra content, and updates from Uduasha.
On the next episode of Desperate Attune.
Before this guy has time to draw his sword, you punch him, he is thrown backwards, he's thrown off, your cohort climbs up, and then you find yourself thrown into the air as Samu lifts you up into a dust devil, and you fly over the battlefield and you dance.
Oh no! Why am I doing this? This is bad, but hopefully it will strike fear into the hearts of my enemies.
Yes.